I took that time to just message people and really get to know what other people were doing in their lockdown time. And I really took that time to build a bond and build that virtual network with the agents in Atlanta, in Houston, in California.
Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, we are joined by South Florida Realtor Joanna Levin. Now, being located in South Florida, a lot of Joanna's business comes through relocation. So to help her grow her business, she has built a virtual network of agents all over the country to help bring in referrals. And in just a few minutes, you're going to hear just how Joanna built that network. Now, before we get into today's featured interview, make sure to follow and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. You can find us on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and the list goes on. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications each time a new episode is uploaded. And lastly, if you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story to share, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to feature. All right, so on to today's interview. I had a great time talking with Joanna, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Yeah, so just kind of getting started out, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and your background in real estate, how you got started?
Yeah, so I'm Joanna Levin. I'm with the Hawkins team with Compass. I've been in real estate for about 5 years now. So just kind of, I got started, I started as a part-time agent. I had a full-time 9 to 5 actually when I started, which was really interesting at the time, but I transitioned into a full-time agent, loved what I was doing and never really went back.
Yeah, so what were you doing prior to?
Before real estate, my background is in hospitality. That's actually what my degree is in as well. So I have a degree in hospitality management, and I'm trained in hospitality sales. And so for 8 years prior, I was a hotel manager with Marriott doing hotel sales.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Not only does that background help you with what you're doing now, but it's also just the times that we're in right now is great that you got out of it also.
I know. I know. And I feel horrible too, because a lot of my friends are out of jobs right now. They're furloughed or just completely out of jobs, not even knowing when their hotels are going to reopen. And I feel bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, kind of tell me about you're pretty young in your career in real estate. So how did the whole, COVID and everything kind of going on last year, how did that, what was like the impacts and you're adapting to that?
Yeah, COVID was, or still is, crazy. I think nobody really knew what was going to happen. I think in the beginning, kind of everybody went crazy. Crazy in the sense of, what do we do? Everybody had to switch to virtual. Everybody was scared to go out. We went completely virtual, completely into lockdown. In some states, you couldn't even allowed to show. It was illegal. You could show here, which was great that we had that. But it was kind of just flipping the switch of, what do you do now? How do you get to your buyers? How do you get to your sellers? How do you reach people? Because we're used to going out networking, meeting people. So I think that was a big turning point for a lot of us. But slowly people got not less scared, but they got comfortable going out with their masks, with their sanitizers, with the proper precautions. And I think with that, we all just kind of started adapting to the new times. And I think with that, business just started to adapt, and it's still getting there. We do the open houses, we do showings. It's just different now.
Right. And one of the things that was really interested when, we kind of started talking about doing this podcast was the fact that you built this kind of network of virtual agents around the country, because being in Florida, you do have a lot of relocation. So yeah. Tell me about this whole network that you've built.
Yeah. So when COVID first hit, everybody just had a lot of time on their hands. So, because again, we didn't know what was going to happen. So I took that time to really get to know other agents both here and just around the country, especially my fellow Compass agents. So I took that time to just message people and really get to know what other people were doing in their lockdown time. And I really took that time to build a bond and build that virtual network with the agents in Atlanta, in Houston, in California, and all around the states, and just really build that virtual network and really capitalize on the fact that people are starting to come down to Florida. The tax benefits are great, and realize that people know people moving down to Florida. So that referral base was really going to help, and it is starting to help. My pipeline is filled with buyers that are moving, and who knows buyers that are moving? Agents with buyers. So I really took that time during my downtime to really start to get to know those people with buyers.
Right. Well, that goes back to that, the successful people are always the ones that are proactive and not reactive. So being on the front of something, when you saw the opportunity, you didn't just sit back and, hide behind, you weren't scared, everything didn't shut down for you. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's always when I talk to, people that are having success, like that's one of the main themes that carries through is that proactive approach to everything.
Exactly. And it really started just getting to know agents and what they were doing during their downtime, because we just all had this downtime. And then it really just became getting to know people and then getting to know their buyers. So it became more genuine than transactional.
Right. So for people that are maybe kind of afraid to reach out to other agents, in other parts of the country and, that aren't necessarily specifically within your team in your office, what was that like kind of breaking that ice with them?
I think it's just like getting to know people in general. Agents are just people. So I just would like their photos on Instagram or just reach out to them and just, have a common ground. If they posted a funny story, I would haha it, or, just be a person and then just start talking to them. Or, they're going through the things that you're going through on a daily basis. So agents somehow just become your friends now, because who better to talk to about what you're going through than other people that are going through it also. So, and especially in such a hard time that we were all going through last year, it just became such a bonding thing. So I just kind of reached out to them as I would a normal person. And it just, again, it became more relationship building than transactional.
Right. Yes. It's building that community rather than just, another kind of step in the transaction pipeline. These are all people that you would now, they're friends basically is what you're building.
Exactly. Maybe one day I'll meet them after COVID.
Right. When we can all travel again.
Exactly.
So, with the COVID restrictions and all this, how are you handling these relocation deals? I know there's people who can do the virtual showings and all that, but what are you doing?
We're doing a lot of virtual showings. A lot of buyers are coming in just for a weekend. Working with a lot of buyers that, Compass has a lot of tools. We work with Compass Collections. So it's very much an interactive tool where I can send them stuff. They can communicate back with me. So I set them up on a collection. And we always start with that. So sometimes they come down. If they do come down, they're only here for a quick weekend. If they don't come down, we're doing everything virtually. So it's usually very quick, the purchasing process. And it's a lot of conversations. What are you looking for? How can I help? And then me being the guide of what neighborhoods and whatnot from there. Do they want the beach? Do they want golf? Do they want suburbs? And me just being that local guide with the knowledge that I have.
Right. And when it comes to people that are relocating, sometimes they might have this particular idea of a city or a town from far away, but maybe don't necessarily know what it's like actually there. So how much do you do, when they're saying, I want to be in section A, but you start interviewing them and kind of getting their particulars that you kind of have to start bringing in other places?
50% of the time I get a call for one place and we end up in another place. They don't know. It's not their fault. They're not from here. They think they hear about it on TV, or they see it in a commercial or whatnot, and they think they want someplace. And then once I get them on the phone, I'm like, that's not that place. This is that place. And that's just what being the market expert is. And then just being able to talk about it, send them those places, and then they understand it. And then by being able to guide them through that, they trust you more rather than them saying, hey, I want this area, me sending them those places. And then they're like, that's not what I like. They're not going to trust you anymore. They're going to quickly start calling somebody else. Right.
So, that all kind of goes back, that all ties in with, being that community expert. Like a lot of times people, they don't put out there on their social media, I see a lot of realtors that all their social media is only, these are my listings, this is what I just closed. But having that integration into the community and really being involved in it, I think kind of helps with that, especially the relocation when somebody is maybe searching you, because they're going to search you. The people are going to look at your profiles. So if they see that you are out and about in the community, they're really going to feel more comfortable with you.
Yes, they always search you, whether it's your website, whether it's your Instagram, whether it's your Facebook or Zillow profile. You have to keep it all updated because they do search you. And if you don't think you're getting searched, you are. I get it all the time of, oh, I saw this, or I looked at your photo, so here's a photo of me because I don't think it's fair that I looked you up, but you didn't get to look me up. It happens all the time. So it's very important to keep your stuff updated because, it's your online resume as well.
Yeah. What, with the group that you've kind of formed within Compass, what are, how do you guys, what are some of the things that you're doing to send each other this business?
Well, anytime we have somebody, we just we're always have like our eyes and ears out for people. I have a very big sphere like in the Atlanta area, and I have a great agent in the Atlanta area. So anytime I know somebody that is over there, I always refer him out. Something that we're going to start doing is like local podcasts, like we're doing now, for agents in the area. So that way, anybody that talks to me will know, hey, if I'm moving anywhere, I can call Joanna. And so they know that I can help them with an agent no matter where they're looking. So that way they just know like I'm their agent no matter where they're looking to move in the United States. And I think that will help not only me, but it does help, it helps my agents everywhere that I work with them as well.
Right. Well, I think that's also, it's so important to, not all of your content that you put out there is for buyers and sellers. Having that content that you're putting out there for other agents, because that's a big chunk of your community on your social media profiles and, within your sphere are other agents.
Correct. And I don't think not a lot of agents realize how much other agents help you in your career. And it's not only other agents nationwide, it's the local agents that help you too. I'm texting with a local agent this morning, hey, what's that condo you posted on your social media this morning that you visited? I may have a buyer. I wouldn't have found it on my own, but I saw he visited it, and now I may have a buyer for it. But because I have a great connection with him, he was willing and open to provide me with that information. So being able to work and collaborate with people easily, there's enough business to go around. My buyers are my buyers, your buyers are your buyers. We're not fighting over it. But if we're all willing to collaborate together, it just makes life so much easier. I'm willing to share my information. You're willing to share yours. We're not going up against the same people for that condo. So why not just share that information? But if you're not nice to work with, no one's going to share that information with you.
Right. So, right. Yeah. No, I think that's awesome to build out that not necessarily, support system, but just just building out that extra section of your sphere of influence that is other agents, because it is going to continue to bring you in referrals like you're doing.
Yeah, it's great, especially in this market as well, which the inventory is so tight. Sometimes being knowledgeable with those agents that want to work a deal with you or want to tell you about their inventory before it even comes on the market, you're going to be able to give your buyers the service of being able to get them in before anybody else does too. So really being that agent that people want to work with is it pays off. It's so old school to be the agent that keeps everything to yourself and thinks that you're too good to work with other people. It's not, it doesn't work like that anymore.
Right. Just kind of, wrapping up here soon, what, kind of going forward into this 2021, what are some of the goals? You talked about doing the podcast for your local, but what are some of your goals?
Oh, there's so many, so many goals. Just to keep growing the business. I just want to keep working with buyers, keep working with more sellers. Definitely want to keep putting more content out there. I think that's a really big goal for 2021. I started it in 2020. It's been getting me a lot of really good traction with my business. So I think that's a really big goal for 2021 as well. More video, getting out there more as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
I really want to thank Joanna for taking the time to talk with us today. And I think it's awesome how she has created this virtual community of agents to bring in more referrals. So once again, if you think you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode. But remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.